Hey guys, welcome back to FPL. It is game week 35. Only 3 weeks left of the FPL season. 3 weeks of the Premier League before we know who wins the Premier League and who wins the FPL leagues. Anything can happen, so make sure you are locked in, make sure you are subscribed, liking and commenting, and you don't miss any of the FPL videos to find out how the league finishes. But in this week, it is game week 35 and the cup is back. Come on, we managed to pick the cup up last year in the McDonald's League. This year, hopefully doing a back-to-back, we can hopefully go for that and also win the FPL Cup in my own league. The league is probably wrapped up. We're probably not going to go and win that. But yes, if I can pick up the cup and still have a successful FPL season, that is it. But as we will look at the fixtures in the cup, but I do have a hard fixture to go. But anything can happen in FPL. So moving into game week 35. As you can see, the most transfers in this week are Xerxes, Gibbs White, Haaland, O'Reilly and Offador, with most being out Timber, Pedro, Wilson, Semenyo and Etatike. That's surprising because I know obviously Gibbs White has had a good couple of weeks. His fixtures aren't great, but he's been delivering in the last 2 fixtures, some good hauls there. Outsgoing, I'm surprised on Semenyo. I know he's not had many chances, but what I will say is with Man City now doubling, I would think people are now starting to triple up on Man City players. So Semenyo being out, unless you're going Xerxes, Haaland and a defender, I'm surprised people are staying away from Semenyo. But let's head into points this week. 42 in the double game week was all right. In the normal week, Callaghan had 2 points, Mukalele 0, Gabriel 8 with a clean sheet, Virgil van Dijk with 4, Tavoski, who we brought in to replace Timber, 3 points, in against West Ham, who did win their game, so they still remain in 17th, and obviously Spurs won their game as well against Wolves. Rodgers and Dye, Cunha, Edinson and Bruno in the midfield. Captain Bruno, good choice there. Cunha didn't even play, which was a bit of a waste of transfer because I could have just stayed with Semenyo, because I am going to have to bring Semenyo back into the squad. And then Watkins up top didn't perform, which was annoying, but I think with obviously the fixtures coming up, I do think Spurs, Burnley are 2 good fixtures, and then maybe for the final 2 games we look elsewhere. But for the next 2 fixtures against Spurs and Burnley, I think Watkins could be a good captain option if you're chasing points. So 42 points, yes, not great, but not too bad as well. And as you say, we did make the -4, the 4 transfers, the -8 points there, because of the blank week. Which means in the leagues, again, in the Broomwood McDonald's, we are back up to second. Matt has over 100 points. That's done. We're not finishing. But a second place again. Gavin moves up to 3rd. Tyler drops down to 4th. Again, if I finish 2nd in the McDonald's League, I think that's still good enough, because I think Matt has just been unbelievable from last year and this year. He pretty much locked in. I know we've been in and out. We've not had great performances in some weeks, but he's been consistent at the top. So we've gone to 2nd. And then in my own league, we've dropped down to 8th once again. But this league is always changing. Every week we're going up, down, up, down. It's so close, and that's what I wanted this league to be like. Obviously, we got our first 2,000 points in pool. May have just stole the league from out of nowhere, to be honest. But I don't think Noah's going to give that up for a fight. So it'd be a surprise to see who finishes in the top on the league. There is only, I would say that's probably about 30 points. So one good week, one bad week, no, that could change. Zach has dropped down once again. Man, this guy was cooking in FPL, and I really do want him to win the league, and he's bottled it. Unfortunately, that's what happens when it's your first time playing the game. You know, you can have good starts, but like I've always said, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. That matters. But even behind us, you know, ninth is very close. Not far off me. We're about 17 points off Zach. I think that is doable. So yeah, like I said, I think if I can get to fifth, if I can get sixth, pushing fifth, I think that's a good recovery from where we were. So that's that. Now, I did say the FPL Cups are back, and that is right. So we'll look at the McDonald's one first. All teams. No, this one's not. This one's not. I want this one. Yes, this one. All teams. So the matches are: Gavin has a bye. We have a bye. Matt has a bye. Kieran has a bye, which means Daniel versus Tyler. Marcus versus Cavan, Louis versus Aiden, and Luke versus Andrew. These were based on points from the previous week. Obviously, with a certain amount of positions in the league. If there's odd numbers, then obviously people do get buys from the previous weeks. So we got lucky in this one that we won't be playing in this week. Moving into obviously my own league, we are playing this week. We got a bye last week, but this week we're playing Veggie Vikings, who's not a easy fixture. You know, he's currently above us. I do think he has a better team than me at the minute, and I don't want to take minus points because that could be a dangerous thing to do, especially when you're chasing points and. But here are the rest of the fixtures. So Paul versus Noah, that is a top of the clash, first versus second in the league in the cup. You don't get to see that often. First versus second, that is going to be a banger. We're going to keep an eye on that one. Sayed versus Dean, Veggie versus us. I'll look at his team quickly. Is he going to show? We might have to go back into the league for that. Jason versus Ryan. We got a FPL tournament versus Sam. Jamie versus Zach. Oh, this is a good one. An old friend of mine versus a recent friend of mine. That is going to be a good one. I do think, and I said to Zach himself, I do think he should get the edge over Jamie. But that is going to be a good match, and that's a match I like to see. Who comes out top? Manish versus Jamie Burnett as well. I hope Manish does well in that. And then Tom versus Bradley and Paul Dickinson. Was this last week? This was game, 34. These were all last week. Did anyone play in? So there was one game. Jamie versus Alex last week was the only match on in the cups. So those are the cup fixtures, guys. They're going to be some absolute bangers in there. But let's go and head back to the leagues, because I do want to look at that, obviously. Veggie, if we look at who we're facing in the league, this is the team. He's got Canahan in goal, so we've got the same goalkeeper. Gabriel, Faze, Tavoski and Williams. That's a strong bench defensively. Obviously, we got Gabriel, we got Tavoski at the minute. He's got Gahey, with someone I'm likely going to bring in. Faze versus Williams. So that means that I've got Hill and Virgil van Dijk against him, depending on who he plays. In defence. In the midfield, both of us have Bruno, Rodgers and Cunha at the minute, and he's got Wilson and he's also got Semenyo. Obviously, we've got Bruno, we've got Rodgers, we've got Cunha, we've got Ndiaye, and we've got, can't remember who the other one is. And then up top he's got Bones, Thiago and Haaland, which is a dangerous front three, depending on his playing. I think he probably will stick with a 4-3-3 and put Haaland in there for Cunha. Semenyo probably comes in for Wilson maybe, and then he puts Gahey. So it's going to be an interesting battle. Obviously that is a big one. So yeah, big things coming in the week. What do we talk about transfers wise? Well, I've already brought Semenyo in. He made the change for Cunha, which was pointless of me bringing in last week. But that is what FPL happens, which means I've got 1.2 million in the bank. Any changes now are going to be minus points. So I've got to be tactical on what I'm going to do. Really, I want to get rid of Tavoski. And I'm probably going to bring in either Riley or... My big worry with Riley is obviously his minutes. Yes, he plays 90 minutes, but he also doesn't play 90 minutes. So I'm going to go Gahey. I think that's a smart move to bring in, make the transfer. I know it's minus 4 points, but I do think that's a good thing to have, which means my team is looking like this. Obviously, I think I will get rid of Ndiaye. However, if you take away the Man City game, Crystal Palace, Sunderland and Spurs aren't too bad of fixtures, to be honest. So maybe I do keep him. I know he's not been in great form since, obviously, AFCON. Had a couple of good games here. Some decent points. Obviously, before AFCON, he was on good form. So it's something to look at, but I think potentially that's a next week issue to look at. So which means, what do we do this week? Well, I want to target this game against Spurs. Aston Villa versus Spurs is going to be a banger. So firstly I'm going to put Gahey in. I think he will get over Hill. Yes, for now that's okay. However, I'm tempted to go Watkins as captain. Take a punt on Watkins against Spurs would be not a bad shout. I could also actually maybe take out Virgil van Dijk for Hill. I think that might be a good option. I know Virgil van Dijk is good, but against Man United, you know, if I don't go on Haaland, Watkins, Bruno could be a good shout. I think with Man United in good form, could be a good captain option / obviously points anyways. unless I'm targeting Virgil van Dijk on a corner, I don't know. It's tempting, but big things this week, and I do need to talk about. Obviously, in next week is the double for Man City, so we're expecting a lot of Palace players being brought in this week, and Man City players being brought in. Now we talk about obviously Dyer here. Maybe we bring in a Palace player for next week. Just target that double up, and then see where we go. But for now, guys, that is going to be it. That is going to be my current team selection. Callahan in goal. Mikelele, Gabriel, Hill and Guehi for the minute back four, with Rodgers, Semenyo, Anderson and Bruno Fernandes against that Liverpool side. Haaland, Watkins up top. Haaland as the captain, Bruno with the vice, but very tempting to play Watkins as captain. But that is going to be my team selection, guys. FPL Cup is back, chasing points in the league. Let's find out what we can do. Make sure you like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you very soon. Good luck with your games, good luck with your teams, and let me know how you do. Thank you for watching. See you soon. Goodbye, guys.